In the knowledge sharing seminars that we've had so far and all the discussions we've had with local communities, a number of key insights have come from it really. And one is that the old traditional problem around services, which is the siloing of particular services, is in some way being tackled because the local committees and local boards that make decisions need to work across services. So they can't just work on education, they can't just work on youth services or parental support programs. They need to look across all of them and coordinate. So there's a coordinating function locally, which seems to have some strength behind it in the way that the model's set up. The other part, which I think is interesting, which we're yet to really see the full unfolding of, is around the way that you, first of all, set objectives locally for what you want to achieve under the program in the community, and then you measure that change over time. And as you're collecting information and measuring change, you can then adjust your expenditure and your effort to try and get better outcomes than you had before. Now, that really is a change because I don't think, certainly in my experience, there's been much effort and much in terms of results from a kind of investment in local people measuring, collecting information and understanding what happens locally when an investment is made or in a service or a program. Historically, anybody who works in this field will say that there's a misalignment between projectising everything and the change that comes over the long term from effective community investments. So what we have to do is try and move away from saying, look, there's a 2 or a 3 year project, and saying, look, there's an investment over time that we'll review on a regular basis. And I think a strength of Stronger Communities for Children has been that there's a longer term view, which is outside the electoral cycle and which is outside projectising. Although we still are subject to funding, of course, and that funding needs to be reviewed and so on. But it's been running for some time already. So, and we hope to see it continue in the future. So what's important there is to think about, well, if you're looking for major changes around systems and the way people live and the way we all conduct our lives and behaviours and so on, attitudes, then that's a generational thing. You know, it's not a change that you can see in a short term. So although we can measure the effectiveness of a particular project and say, well, look, here's something we've done. We can see what people thought about it, what difference it made to them in the short term. In fact, it's the long term that's much more important. And that really is generational, because if people are eating better at home, if they're cooking better foods and so on, to use that example, then that's handed on to their kids, and then you get a generational benefit that you would see over a much longer period than even the period of this particular program.